Okay, so I've been getting some requests from viewers to show my buttons that I've got in the last year or two here, these flat buttons. And I've got a bunch of them here on the table. I just thought I'd go through them real quick so you can kind of see some of the things I've been finding. These are the flat buttons that all have some type of gold gilding on them. Now, most flat buttons back in the day were gilded, either in gold or silver. Some of them have a little bit more left on them than others. But these are some of the flat buttons, and not all of them are flat. This is a little bell button here. Has a pattern on it. And some gold gild left in there. So I'll go through these. I'm not going to show each one individually, but I've got them arranged here kind of by size. Some of these buttons have some patterns on them. For instance, this one here has a little star pattern on it. Others are just plain flat buttons. Some of them are in pretty rough shape. Others are in pretty decent shape with some nice back marks. And they range in age from the late 1700s all the way up to the early 1900s. Kind of got them arranged by size here. Smallest to largest. We've got the little cuff buttons and whatnot, and your shirt buttons, and some larger coat buttons up here. And over on this side of the table, I've got some, I guess these are posted buttons or buttons for overalls, coveralls. Got some aluminum buttons here. They look awfully nice coming out of the ground, and then you pick them up and they're light as a feather. Got some hold buttons here. These might be early 1900s. And I've got 4 of them here that have some type of a pattern on them. This is kind of an interesting looking button. And there's the back side on it. This is probably one of my favorites, this one right here. I love the back mark on this one. And the front is kind of a cross hatching. I don't know if you can see that or not. You get some better light on it. A lot of detail on that one. I like that one. That's probably going to end up in a display. I do have some in a display case as well. Here's some older Tomback buttons. These fall apart pretty easy. I've got a few of them in display cases as well. And then there's the larger dandy buttons. The one on top here was broken in half, but it's definitely a button. And they're in various states of wear. So that's kind of a look at some of the general flat buttons that I have found. Let's take a look at the military buttons next. Okay, let's take a look at some military buttons, folks. This is some of the stuff that I like to find. These are the fun ones here. I'm going to start with a few Great Seal buttons. These are circa World War I, World War II. They used the same type of a button during that era. This is a little cuff button. And I've got a real nice coat button here. This one's in really good shape. And then one that's not such good shape. I think that one was in a fire, but I still display it. And then a larger one here. This one's in pretty decent shape. And this thing on the end right here is a collar pin or a collar insignia for the infantry. And this is probably post-World War II. Found this at an old school site. That's a collar pin. And we'll move up here. This is probably one of my older, well, this is definitely my oldest military pin. This is a 1820s to 1830 militia button. And I could tell that by looking at the back mark. And I'll give you a couple of websites to go to verify the back marks, and that kind of gives you an age on these buttons. This back mark is a Lewis and Tomes back mark. And so I could age it, or tell roughly what age it is by that back mark. It's in rough shape, but I really like it. And we're going to move over here. This is a Eagle D button. I had to do a little research when I first found this one, but it's a Dragoon button. The Dragoons were actually disbanded right before the Civil War started. But you still saw a lot of their coats and things like that were used during the Civil War. A lot of their resources were still used. There's an Eagle Eye button. It's a little dinged up, but I like the detail on it. Another Eagle Infantry button here. This one was found on Harmonica Hill. Still quite a bit of gold gilt left on that one. Little Eagle Cuff button. I like that one. Some gold left on it. We'll move up here. This is a New York button right here. See the Excelsior on the bottom. A lot of these buttons are found even today in almost every state. There were so many Union soldiers from the state of New York. So, a lot of buttons. Here's one that's a little more rare. This is a North Carolina State Seal button. Kind of has that muffin shape to it. And it says North Carolina there across the top. That was a good one to find. And here's one of my favorites here. This is a Virginia State Seal Confederate button. It's in really nice shape. And then one of my favorites is that Script I Confederate button right here. That one's in beautiful shape as well. So that's a look at some of the military buttons that I have found. When it comes to cleaning these, I did a video a couple months back on cleaning these military buttons, and I stay away from putting them in any water at all, if at all possible. I'd use a toothpick. When you get them out of the hole, let them dry, and just use a toothpick when you get home. Clean off all the dirt from the top, and if you need to, just run them under water real quick. But I'll put a link into that video that I did back a couple of months down in the description below. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the button tour there. Been getting a lot of requests, and thought I'd throw this together real quick. So there you go, folks. Thanks for watching.